We're live.
And welcome to episode 94 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Director of Operations, Sean Ani, and I'm joined by Executive Editor, Todd Hazelton.
Hey, everybody.
I was waiting for the little gold badge in the corner.
Yeah, I guess it came up early on mine.
Yeah, it was taking longer than usual on my end. So, anyway, we're off to a great start as always around here.
Yeah.
So it has been a fairly quiet week here in Lake Wobegon. Oh, well, salute to Garrison Killier retiring. But it has been a fairly quiet week around here. You know, with the July 4th holiday here in the U.S., that means that a lot of people are still out of the office, as Todd and I are learning from all the automated replies we're getting.
Yeah.
I don't know why it seems like everyone in the world has decided, you know what, I'm going to take my vacation in July, just like everybody else, so nothing gets accomplished for an entire month.
Yeah, I am. I'm off next week.
I know, but like I said to you guys yesterday, you and Joey have always taken your vacations in July.
Yeah.
But it seems like this year, it's like everybody.
I think everybody was waiting for it, just ready to go.
Yeah, and again, I'm going in November. But anyway, because why go on vacation during the nice part of the year?
Yeah.
So there's
an argument to be made for that too, I guess. If you do a staycation, you just stay home, it's nice, and then you want to get out of here when it's really gross.
You know, I've tried staycations. I can't do it. I just immediately end up at my desk.
Yeah, I bet I would do the same thing.
I can't do it. Anyway, there were a couple things we wanted to touch on this week. First off would be the big news that the CW has signed a new deal with Netflix that will see all of its shows come to Netflix 8 days after the season finale. However, what is not being discussed nearly as much is that means that the CW is completely leaving Hulu and there will be no day after broadcast streaming. So for folks such as myself, which have cut the cord completely, I now am going to have a very busy summer catching up on all of my CW shows.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to watch them right away, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I actually did tweet out to CW yesterday. CW does have one Roku app. They have what's called the CW Seed, which is like older stuff and some originals. But there's no primary CW app. There is a CW app on my iPad, however, but that's going to be annoying, hooking my iPad up to my television every night to watch the previous night's CW show.
Yeah.
So hopefully maybe there'll be something coming down the road, but this is an interesting situation. I mean, you have CBS, which keeps all of its shows in its own app, which you have to pay a subscription for. You know, are we going to see all the networks now moving away from this day after airing for one bulk price?
I don't know. I think that's all going to depend on the network, and probably their model for making money, which obviously it sounds like the simple answer, but I think it's like, look, part of this topic, part of the show we're going to talk about too is Netflix landing on Comcast X1 Xfinity boxes. And so I think if we're just going to go right to that, it's like, well, Netflix, or at least Comcast strategy is like, okay, if they're going to get it anyway, like, if we can't beat them, let's join them. Let's put Netflix on the box so they're not going somewhere else. They're not turning off our box. They're not switching their TV input and going to something else. And so I think the strategy could be like that, depending on, like, if they want to say, hey, we got to keep these fans and we're going to give them the show now. Or, strategically, maybe they're thinking, well, we don't want to make it too easy because then they're not going to watch it when it's live or whatever like that. And so we're going to give it to them later. I think it's just going to vary depending on the content provider. But, eventually someone's going to probably find the winning formula and try to figure. I mean, I think HBO's got the winning formula currently. I mean, if you don't have cable, you just pay for the app like HBO Now instead of HBO Go. And then you can get it live.
Right.
Like, would you pay for CW?
If I could,
it would have to be cheaper, probably, but
it would have to be cheaper. I mean, I do watch 5 CW shows. I watch Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, and iZombie.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that would be worth it paying. I've watched 3 or 4 CBS shows, and I pay for their app each month, which is $5.99. So clearly I'm willing to, that's a price point I'm willing to live with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the way I look at it, it's cheaper than going and buying the season pass on like Amazon or iTunes or anything. So yeah, I mean, if the CW wanted to charge me, I'd pay it. You know, hopefully there wouldn't be ads, but there probably would be. But I don't know. The thing with Netflix, you know, I'm glad you mentioned the Comcast X1 thing. You know, we've also heard that soon Netflix is going to be in every Marriott hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's clear that Netflix has won. There's no competing with it. Yes, Amazon Prime technically has more subscribers, but how many actually use it is a huge question mark, because I'm not sure how many people even know they have access to all those free videos.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I use it all the time. You know,
Right.
I use
people that know about it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, as someone who knows about it, I do use Amazon Prime videos all the time. But you know, Netflix is becoming universal. It's ending up everywhere. I think you're right, though. I mean, Comcast, I think all the cable providers are going to have to throw in the towel and go, all right, fine, Netflix is here to stay. Let's play with them instead of against them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if, you know, let's say somebody goes out and gets a Roku because they want to watch Netflix on the big screen. Well, then they're looking through and, oh, wow, look at all these other apps. Well, do I really need cable?
Right. I don't need my cable box anymore.
Exactly.
Which is, you know, what we've done.
Yeah. So if Netflix is inside the cable box, well, then that's one less temptation for you to completely leave your cable subscription.
Right.
So it makes sense. I mean, on the surface, it looks like strange bedfellows, but I do get the thinking behind it.
Yeah. But I'm going to be curious, you know, several years down the road, how many people are paying, you know, $100 a month for the cable, you know, channels, but don't use cable, or just using Netflix on their cable box. That's going to be like, and I don't even know if we'll ever get those figures, but I think that's going to be crazy, because I think there's going to be a lot of people, and I don't want to call them lazy, but lazy people that are like, I don't want to get rid of my cable box. I've got Netflix on, you know, and like, you know, little, maybe they don't know, maybe they do. And, you know, you can get a Fire TV stick or whatever, Roku or a Chromecast or whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, there's numerous ways, but again, you know, we've seen time and time again, how many people out there in this world, they don't even know where to begin looking. You know, it's second nature to all of us.
Right.
But your average person, you know, but the way my house is rigged up, you know, I have an HDMI switcher box in one room with 4 devices hooked up into that, so that feeds, you know, I can have the television in the kitchen room running off the Apple TV while the television in the family room is watching off the Roku, you know, and all that. And my family looks at me like, are you a dark magician? You know, and no, it takes 5 minutes of reading and I figure all this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
But your average consumer, as long as it's in front of them and it's working, they don't care, and they're not going to look any further than that.
Right.
So putting Netflix on the Comcast tuner box, great idea for Comcast, not so great for, you know, actual consumers, but I get why they're doing it. As for the CW shows, I mean, I get it, but, you know, obviously Netflix offered them more money. I know the CW shows have been a big hit on Netflix. And, you know, waiting until the end of the season isn't that horrible, but being, you know, a child of the 70s and I'm used to linear episodic television, you know, I really enjoy Flash. I want to watch Flash every week, but if I have to wait, I'll wait. I'm not going to go out and buy a season subscription from somebody just so I can watch Flash once a week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess there's 2 arguments to it, or the middle ground where I sit. Like, I don't really care whether it comes out every week or I watch it, you know, all at once. I've enjoyed Game of Thrones in both methods, but we had an editorial over the weekend saying, you know, Netflix should stop releasing everything at once. So obviously, there are 2 sides. Like, some people think that's, you know, crazy, and they don't get that, you know, weekly fix like you're talking about, and others, you know, prefer the binge. I'd say, you know, when we watch like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, right? Like, I kind of like sitting there and watching several episodes in a row or the whole thing. I guess it just comes down to the style of watching.
Well, and Stern fan brings up, that he just finished Daredevil, and do you guys think they should release new Netflix shows weekly? No, I don't think they should. I think with the advent of the DVD box sets, we all got in the mindset that we can sit around and we can watch, as many episodes as we want. And it became even that much more when Netflix rolled around and, Amazon Prime Video and Hulu and everything else. I'm sorry, I'm a binger now. And so while I'm initially in shock about not being able to watch my CW shows weekly, I'll get over it and I'll just binge them at the end of the season.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying, watch it all, like split it up and watch an episode a week.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody forces you to watch it. Nobody forces you to sit on the couch for 12 hours straight and go, oh man, although, as I've already told John, I may be taking a day off in the near future for when they release the 4 Gilmore Girls movies. So
nice. Nice.
I am sorry that may be declared a national holiday in my opinion.
Hey,
but anyway, I love Gilmore Girls. I can't help it. But, so, guys, I see we have a lot of the questions. We will get to those in the Q&A section. But I just wanted to touch on the other topics we had going on. So Tesla, it looks like Autopilot 2 is coming, an update to the OS, which I'm still, okay, folks, I'm sorry. I've got to get used to the concept that, oh, hold on, I can't leave quite yet. My car's updating.
Yeah, I'll be there. I got I'm 30 minutes behind.
Yeah, I got to run a software download.
Except this. So the story is, this is John speaking to his Tesla sources. The story is the Autopilot 2.0 software or update is coming this year, and this is, I guess, similar, and don't necessarily quote me. Go to the site and read the story because I'm not a Tesla guy or a car guy. But the story is that, it'll enable, I guess, more advanced autopilot features. So one of the examples was like stopping at a stop sign or a stoplight. I guess previously you needed a car in front of you for the Tesla to recognize that. And so the addition of what appears to be, 2 additional cameras or more cameras, I think, will enable functionality like that, like the car will know to stop on its own. But obviously the additional cameras, that's new hardware. And so now the discussion is, well, is it going to, our current Tesla's going to get the update? And if so, how do they get the new hardware? Or is it only for the new Teslas? Like was the case, I guess, back in, I want to say October 2014 or something like that, I think the article said. So like, that's what we're trying to figure out now. But our story was that the update's supposed to come this year. So that's exciting. And so now people are like, well, does that mean, is it the Model 3? Does that mean that's going to have Autopilot 2.0 because that's going to have the new features? Or are there, the other cars, new cars coming out that are going to have it? And, what's that mean for everybody? And what else is included? But obviously, I guess this is also part of the Tesla software 8.0, I think, which was confusing to me at first. I was like, is it 2.0 or 8.0? Oh, it's Autopilot 2.0, Tesla software 8.0.
Yeah, I know. I
saw other journalists getting that mixed up too.
One day, Roy emailed me. He was driving a Model S, and he goes, "Hey, TechnoBuffalo doesn't render correctly on their web browser in the console." And he sent me a picture. I emailed him back. I was like, "Yes, please let me get our developer to spend hours of his time working to make sure that the web browser in a car is perfectly rendered." That's not happening.
Yet, right?
Yet. Yeah, I will stress that. I'm sure there will be a day where we have to consider, are we Tesla browser compatible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
hey, the site's not loading in my Honda. I don't have a Honda.
My Yugo doesn't get TechnoBuffalo. Wow, there's a flash from the past. My DeLorean doesn't get TechnoBuffalo. I love the idea of Tesla, but the fact that now that there's iterations within the models, I realize that car dealers, car companies every year come out with a new model, fine. But it seems that much worse with Tesla for some reason, because it does feel like phone iterations.
Well, also some of their that and some of their cars support the tech until there's a software update or something small applied to it that you pay for, and then all of a sudden your car, has that extended range or whatever, which is just like, what? I mean, I get it.
I don't know. And I see we have some questions about Teslas, and we'll get to that. And I will tell the story of me recently driving a Model S and how long that drive lasted. The other thing we were going to bring up was robots. And Todd and I were discussing robots a little bit yesterday, and we realized that was actually never a topic we've touched on really here on the TechnoBuffalo Show.
Yeah.
So what was the impetus for...
There's I'm bringing up our story. So this company called Momentum Machines, let me bring up our story, launched, so they are about to open up a restaurant in San Francisco, it sounds like, because they're hiring people. A restaurant generalist is the position, to work in Momentum Machines' first restaurant that will feature, and this is quoting them, remarkable new advances in technology that enable the automatic creation of impossibly delicious burgers at prices everyone can afford. So basically, burgers served up by robots inside of these restaurants, owned by Momentum Machines, which is kind of crazy because I made the joke, like, aren't we already kind of using robots, like if you're microwaving a burger anyway? Like, I don't know, maybe a microwave is not a robot, but it's a machine. And then, but Burger King flame broils them, so that's obviously not robotic. But it's just crazy. We've talked, for years, or news outlets and stuff like, oh, our jobs are being replaced by robots. And, for example, there are robot bloggers that, sort of highlight the news and push out stories. But so is this sort of like, does this mean we're finally, robots are really taking over jobs aside from, I mean, obviously they already have in like factories and assembly lines and that kind of thing. But, is this like the mainstream robots taking over?
Right. And just to be clear, TechnoBuffalo has never used robot bloggers, nor do we plan to, but they are out there. They're especially prevalent. Well, I've wondered about your emotional state at times. They seem to be most prevalent in the sports field because you don't have to say a whole lot. You just plug in the score and out pops an article about,
right.
The Seattle Mariners beat the Chicago Cubs. Oh my God, I thought of two baseball team names. For me, that's kind of amazing. So yeah, it's something that's happening a lot in that field. But, in Japan, for instance, they've been adding robots to ramen shops for quite a while. However, what they're doing is it's an efficiency boost to the human that's running the robot. So, for instance, the human still places all the ingredients in the robot. The robot then just handles the cooking and the timing of moving the noodles down the production line and so forth. So that's a little bit different. But I mean, we're talking here now about fully automated, and this is something that science fiction has talked about for years. At what point will we reach a instance in history where humans are being completely replaced by robots? And we've seen that in the auto industry. But moving into something as everyday as hamburger cooking, you have to start wondering, okay, what's next? And at what point do we start getting so many robots that our unemployment rate starts going up?
Yeah, like at what point? Because this is a job, right? A restaurant generalist, whatever, who's going to overlook the robots. But if you say let's say Dunkin' Donuts, right? And you go to the drive-thru and you order an iced coffee and you order a strawberry donut. And a human...
That was awfully specific.
Well, that's what I order.
I figured.
So a human puts together the ice and the coffee and the milk, no sugar, please, in a large cup, and brings it to the window, and then goes and gets a donut and brings it to the window. But if you think about it, like, what if there's just like this, super fresh keeper refrigerator thing that's got all the donuts, and there's no flies on it, it's just sitting there, and it drops out the one, like a vending machine that you want, and then takes the coffee that's stored there, pours it in, pours the milk, just like any other, automated soda fountain kind of machine, and then it appears at the window for you. Like, that seems like something that's just very easy to do, and yet you do remove the human element Maybe you would have one supervisor per shift or something that's making sure it's giving you a strawberry donut, not chocolate one or something.
Yeah,
you think about that's a lot of jobs that would be lost.
That's a lot of jobs that would be lost. And yes, you would still need a human on site, I believe. But instead of 8 people working a shift, you'd have 1.
Right.
And so what happens to those other 7?
And what are the psychological effects on the one human?
Well,
living with a robot in a room full of donuts.
You just walk around a lot going, I, for one, welcome my new robotic overlords.
Exactly.
But there's a point where I'm all for progress. I'm all for technology advancing. But there is a point where you have to wonder, do we take a step too far? Do we, just because we can, does it mean we have to? And yes, I understand, especially with the minimum wage going up around the country and everything else, these people are looking at, oh, well, I can invest $100,000 once in this robot, and then I don't have to worry about people calling in sick. I don't have to worry about, vacation time.
Yeah.
It's a tough call, man.
You don't have to worry about store hours. I mean, maybe if you have that one person, but that person could be on call between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m.
Even if you went to a 24-hour situation with one person, say, working, 3 8-hour shifts, that's 3 people as opposed to 8 people per shift. So you still got a net gain of 21 less employees.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean,
yeah. I don't know.
Sean and I are going to open up a donut shop.
Sean and Todd's robotic donuts.
Yeah. I was joking yesterday. What's up with I guess, are drones robots? Drones are robots. I was saying, what about a cafe where I got to step back. I was saying, I need a reason to buy a drone. And actually today I wrote up a video of a guy who grills a steak with his drone and sort of drops it on his grill and then flips it. And it's like, he's hitting it into the grill and dropping it on the ground, all kinds of funny stuff. But anyway, I was thinking I need a reason to buy a drone. What if I could, take my drone off and, I got this video screen and fly it to a coffee shop and pick up, a donut and a coffee and bring it back. That would be awesome. And then I was thinking we need drone friendly coffee shops, 5-item payload for $5. You can fill up with as many muffins as you want.
Todd, you realize how much you and I talk about the fact that we never leave.
Yeah, I know. Now our desk chairs.
And we're sitting here
coming right in the window here.
We're sitting here figuring out more ways to never leave our desks.
I know, it's really sad.
We need help, Todd.
I know.
Well, let's jump into the question.
Interns.
We've got a bunch of them coming in. Let's see here. From Josh Ramoth, would you buy a Tesla? And if you did, would you entrust your life into the Tesla autopilot? First off, probably not. I probably wouldn't buy one simply because of where I live. I live in a rural community, and while I could drive around all day on one charge and charge at home, the fact that I also live on a dirt road means that I tend to buy 4-wheel drive vehicles. So as of right now, Teslas don't have 4-wheel drive.
The Model X still good?
The Model X, is the Model X out yet?
I don't know. I saw one, so I thought they were.
I don't know if they're actually
2016. Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows?
No, we're not car guys. Sorry.
Would I trust my life to autopilot? That is a magical question. I mean, while there's a part of me that is all for automatic driving, there's also a part of me that thinks I'll be sitting in the driver's seat the entire time going,
That's me. Yeah, exactly. That's how I would be. I'd be in the seat oh man, are we going to crash? Can I trust this? I know you can. I know you can trust it, but it's going to take a while. Even I was test driving the Volvo XC90, and that car, it was a fully loaded one. It's got, the lane avoidance, and you're staying in your lane, and it's auto brakes and stuff. And even still, I was like, I can't trust it. The guy next to me, worked for Volvo. I was like, it's fine, man. You can just sit there with your phone out. And I was like, I don't know. I don't like that. So I don't think I'd really trust it. I mean, it would take a long time. I think I'm gonna need to like see hard data of other people, trusting it before I do, especially if my family and stuff are using it. As for buying a Tesla, I'm kind of with you. I'm not really interested in Teslas just yet. I like driving, and not that like you can't drive a Tesla, but I like SUVs. I don't know, something about I like older. I have a junky Ford Explorer I really like.
I'm still driving a 99 Tahoe.
Yeah. I need a different car that's more efficient, but I don't know if a Tesla's on my list.
From Mr. Sean, the Model X is out. I just saw one yesterday here in DC, but they have been having production issues, so they are taking a while. Okay. Well, I'm still not buying it. Still not buying it.
Still not buying it. If I had like unlimited funds, I would have a Tesla probably.
Yeah, exactly. From Stern Fan, CW has some good shows, but I feel like a teen waiting in line to go see a Twilight movie. I turned 45 2 weeks from today, and believe me, there are times where I'm like, I cannot believe I watched this many CW shows. I need help. But
oh, whatever. Worst things out there.
Exactly. From Mr. Sean, do any of you use Sling TV? If so, how do you like? And do you think Apple is still going to put out a cable service like Sling TV? Oddly enough, Todd and I both use Sling TV.
Yeah, I love it. That's all I have.
Oh, I haven't talked to you since the UI update.
No.
What do you think of the new?
Have I noticed a major update? I just used it 2 days ago.
Which device are you using it on?
I just use their app.
Okay,
and it's the same on Android TV, pretty much too.
Okay, the Roku and the Apple TV have a completely new user interface.
Oh, there you go.
And it's worlds better.
That's awesome.
Worlds and worlds better. The original UI was not good. I like it. It's great if you are still hooked on linear television. For instance, like my mother watches it all the time. I'm so Netflix, Hulu driven now. I'm just like, nope. I got to watch things when I want to watch them.
Well, they do have a selection. Like, I like Fixer Upper on HGTV, right? And so
God, not you too.
Yeah, I have the Chip Gaines boots. So you where was I? Sorry, there's a police car outside. I didn't know why. I just heard what.
They found you.
So I like Fixer Upper, and you can go. For those who aren't familiar, you go to HGTV, and you can watch either live stuff or go over there and just browse through other episodes. And it's not full. Season 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah. But you can choose like from 10 or so episodes that are playing throughout the day or something.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it's the right price, and it's the perfect cable box replacement. I like the fact the packages are the size they are. Mm-hmm. So you're not paying for a ton of channels that you will never ever watch.
Right. And it's got the ones I care most about, which is like History Channel, HGTV, and then Yes Network for Yankees games. So it's pretty sweet just to have that.
From Such and Bahal, do you guys own any robotic devices like a Roomba or a Girlbot? I do own a Roomba.
Oh, I want one. I don't own one. They're kind of expensive, it seems like.
They are expensive, but when you have 6 dogs worth of fur...
Yeah, that's right. You've talked about that.
Roombas are kind of a necessity in life.
I have wood floors. Would it work well? Do they clean the floors too, or what? Is it just picking up like crumbs?
It's just basically it picks up like the surface does. But I've actually recently changed all the carpet on my ground floor to hardwood floors, so now it gets everything because nothing gets ground in. Todd, I'm assuming this question's for you from Josh. You're not the only one who likes Fixer Upper 2. Do you watch Love It or List It?
Yeah, I watch all those shows. I really do. I probably usually have like HGTV on my TV most of the time.
Oh God, you're gonna have to come hang out with my mother.
But yeah.
From Brazen Franco, I don't remember when was the last time I saw a traditional TV. Now it's just a PC hooked up to all the sets in the house with the browser open 24/7. What's funny, Brazen, is I was the same way until a new app launched on Roku about a month ago called UK TV. and it provides for $1.99 a month. I can watch a plethora of different UK television stations. I've watched more traditional television now, but it's all from the UK. I'm like, oh, it's time for Highway Patrol. Okay.
So you've used just what Brazen's talking about too? Brazen is fake talking about a PC hooked up to all the sets? Or like a web browser on your PC?
No. Well, yeah, there are ways to do that.
Yeah, I know that. I just didn't know people were. I feel like that was like an older thing to do, and now that we have all these streaming services, you're like, yeah, I'll just use.
Yeah,
like
but the thing, there's still a lot of them that don't offer apps, or they offer very limited apps. So I can see where you would also still go with the computer.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Let's see here.
Remember when like home theater PCs were huge big thing?
Oh, good grief! Remember when there were whole guides on turning Mac Minis into home theater servers?
PCs. I mean, they had all the cases for it and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Remember they had like the back of the television mounts and
yeah.
From Sachin Bahal, if you had enough money for a Tesla, which would you guys purchase? Model S, Model X, or Model 3? Okay, so here's where that story comes into play. A few months ago, I had the opportunity to drive a Model S. And I was going to borrow it for an entire night. I backed out of the parking space, took it around the building, got out on the street, got to the next entrance back into the parking lot, pulled in, went back to the parking space, walked in, handed the keys back, and went, nope. No. Apparently, I wasn't aware there's a setting where you can make it feel like a gas engine, because when I was letting off the accelerator, it was just dead stopping.
Oh, weird.
Instead of, like with a normal car and you coast.
Right.
And I was like, it was just freaking me out way too much.
So is it like a go-kart kind of? Like if you let go of the go-kart, it's kind of like...
It was almost like a golf cart.
Oh, yeah. Weird. Huh.
I'm like, this is $100,000 car. I'm sorry, I'm not going to feel like I'm driving a golf cart. That's the perfect analogy. I hadn't thought of that. Yes, it was like driving a golf cart. And so I was just like, no, I'm not into the whole Tesla thing. Thanks. So honestly, I would be willing to look at the Model X just because it's got more power, but I'm just not that interested at this time.
Yeah. Model X. I mean, I guess I have enough money for a Tesla. I just don't know if I want a Tesla.
Exactly.
Model 3 is not that bad.
No, I mean, they're lovely cars. But from Stern Fan, I love cable, but I find myself watching Netflix more and more. I think I keep the cable on to fall asleep. I pay $90 per month and have 400 channels, 50 down and 50 up. Speed with Fios makes no sense cutting the cable. Yeah, in your particular case, that sounds like a great deal, and I wouldn't cut it either.
Yeah, $90 a month. I was paying $200 for like 400 channels that package Fios, but I did 100 down and up since I work from home. And so I cut it just so I'm paying for the 100 down and up, and now it's like $100 a month, which is worth it to me. But I'm the same way. I like having the option to have TV sort of on in the background. I don't know. It's like our culture, right? Like you grow up with that kind of the noise in the background TV, or, you have guests coming over and maybe they fall asleep with the TV on. There's a lot of people like that. But then I found myself, just leaving Sling TV on or Netflix on. And I was like, why am I paying for cable? And I think I said this in an earlier show. I had one of my cable boxes still in the wrapping that I was going to put in the guest room. So I was like, I'll just get a Roku for that room or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I had DirecTV and it just cost way too much. And it's been 14 months now since I cut the cord and I haven't looked back. Right. Except for every month when I'm watching my bandwidth going, am I going to go over my cap? Good grief. From Brazen Franco, you should see the short documentary Humans Need Not Apply. I am a big documentary watcher, but I've not heard of that one. I will have to seek that out. I'm assuming it's about robots taking over human jobs.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. From Sachin Bahal, what is your favorite Netflix original? And have you guys watched BoJack Horseman? I have not watched BoJack Horseman yet. I keep meaning to. I just haven't gotten to it. My favorite Netflix original, hands down, has to be Daredevil.
I haven't watched Daredevil. I think it would just be Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Well, season 1 or season 2. Season 2 had some issues.
No, season 2's, yeah, I haven't even finished season 2, believe it or not. So I guess season 1.
Season 1 was fantastic. Season 2, it was you could tell they were having some formatting issues. I'm hoping they work them out in season 3.
Yeah.
Let's see here. From Mr. Sean, what internet speed do you need for Sling TV to work properly without buffering? That is a magical question, although I've noticed since the UI update, I'm not getting the buffering issue I was before.
Yeah, you've always talked about that problem, and I haven't had it.
Right, and I have like 100 down and like 10 up or something like that. Yay Cable 1. I've had buffering issues in the past, but that seems to finally be working itself out.
Yeah, I have 100 and 100, and in my old apartment it was 120, and both have been fine. But if you have issues, you might want to look to your router. I have I have a FiOS router here, and upstairs I think I have one of the Netgear Firehawks or whatever the heck they're called, Blackhawks, or I don't know, Nighthawks, and when you're on, like the 2.4 gigahertz signal, sometimes if there's interference or whatnot, your speeds might be like 10 megabits per second, even though you're getting like 100. And so sometimes I'll switch over to the 5 gigahertz network, and the speeds will be a little bit better, a lot better. In fact, in some rooms, I've done power line networking right down to the actual box or the actual modem down here, so the speeds are a little better. But I would definitely look at your router speeds too. It's not always just like, what will I pay for it, and sitting on my PC connected directly to it, I'm getting those speeds. Wireless can obviously have huge effects on that.
Totally. From Stern Fan, I would love to see sports on Netflix, like all the football games, like NFL, Red Zone winning. That is the holy grail of streaming right now. I don't think the NFL or MLB or really any of the, the NBA, any of those guys are that interested in going to streaming, because they are just too big of an industry right now, and the networks pay them through the nose for those rights.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I don't see that changing anytime soon.
But who knows? Maybe
yeah.
It will. I mean, eventually it seems like we're going that way. So it, look, you get what is it, MLB Live that I paid for, so there's like ways to watch it directly, but then you have all the blackout games and stuff like that. But I think, they know there needs to be one way or another, for that to eventually get to the streaming audience. But like you're saying, Sean, I think it's a great way for cable operators to keep people on cable. In fact, when I was on Comcast, one of the reasons we went with Comcast over other internet things was because they had Yes Network, which is for the Yankees games here, and then Comcast and Yes Network got in a big fight, and so they dropped it. And I was like, what the heck? Now how do I get it? And guess what? Sling TV picked up Yes Network. And so that was like, I was like, whoa, here's like this $10 a month network that has Sling TV, or that has Yes now. So I didn't even need Comcast, and then I moved to FiOS, and I didn't need FiOS, but for TV. Anyway, so I think it's making its way. They know that it's important. It's just
I do think it's making its way. It's just a question of when, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
From Brazen Franco, question for Todd: have you noticed a difference in the screen quality of the OnePlus 3 with it going from the NTSC color profile to sRGB with the new update?
No, so yesterday or whenever it started rolling out the update, I think it was yesterday. I was still using the S7 Edge briefly. I switched over for just the weekend because I was the beach one, the water resistance. Anyway, I'm back on my OnePlus 3, wherever it is. I was charging over there. And now the update was pulled because I guess they were having issues or something like that. So I haven't updated. However, I wasn't in the camp that was upset with without the sRGB option. I know people want it for color accuracy and stuff, but I've always liked that super saturated look. I thought the screen's kind of cool, almost bluer on the color spectrum. The whites definitely aren't that warm, and I prefer that to a warmer color spectrum. In any case, I know that people were upset it wasn't accurate and stuff like that, but I think it's okay. So I'm not really jumping at it, but I'll let you know. Maybe I will like it better.
Correction from Mr. Sean. MLB does do streaming. They have their own subscription service called MLB TV. Rumor is Disney may be buying 1/3 of their streaming service for $3 billion. Yes, you are correct. I forgot about the MLB.TV.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I pay for. And they have, the problem is you get blackouts and stuff like that, but I could see it eventually being, possibly folded into something, especially if Disney or somebody buys it.
From Josh, is Sling TV a lot cheaper than having a cable subscription? I have Comcast Xfinity for cable and internet. Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. I think what's the base package? 20, and then
20.
You can add on for 10. So, if you get the base package, $20 a month, you add on the whatever you want for $10. There's like these other, packages. So you're saving money. But if you're, I think it was Stern that was saying here, if you have $90 a month and you're getting cable and 50 down and 50 up, I mean, that's kind of tough to beat. So unless you can cut your cable, if you're paying $90 a month, unless you can cut your cable down below, say, what would it be if you're paying, was he paying $90?
Yeah.
So you'd have to cut it below 60, right? Because, say 30 and then, but then you're missing out on the channel. So you have to see what you're currently paying. It makes sense for me because I was paying $200, I guess, because of where I live or whatever.
Yeah, it's totally based on what you're currently paying, and if you feel you're paying too much, just start doing the research. From Stern Fan, thoughts on HTC working on a Sense launcher?
I think it's cool because forever Sense was my favorite launcher, or skin or whatever you want to call it. But then they started adding, the little widgets with the ads and stuff like that, and Blink Feed started getting ads in it, which was really frustrating because you're paying, a lot for these phones. And so that really turned me off from just Sense in general. And I think if they're going to launch it for free, obviously they're going to stick these ads in there and stuff because they're going to want to make money off of it. And in that case, I'm not going to be very excited for it. But hey, if they even out for free and say, hey, pay $4, $5, and we'll take out the ads, that's what they should do, actually. And I would probably pay for it just to give it a whirl because I do like Sense.
From Sachin Bahal, are you guys excited for Red Dead Redemption coming to backwards compatibility on Xbox One? Oddly, yes.
Yeah, I haven't used my Xbox One in a long time. I just been, PS4. I think we've talked about it before. It's like, which ones did your friends get? My friends got PS4, so I've been stuck on that. But I loved Red Dead Redemption. I think I'm tempted to boot it up just to play that again.
Yeah, I love the fact that Joey reported, or the gaming department reported earlier this morning that there's been a 6,000% increase in Red Dead sales since yesterday.
That's awesome.
And last question for this week from Stern Fan: with BlackBerry pretty much throwing the towel in on so much stuff now, when do you guys think they will be defunct or sold off? I'm guessing by 2020.
I don't know. There's been a death watch for BlackBerry. Excuse me, there's been a death watch for BlackBerry forever. I don't know what's going to happen, but the latest news that JK or Stern, I'm referring to you as your comments are name, that Stern's referring to is that BlackBerry announced they're going to kill off manufacturing of the BlackBerry Classic. That follows on the heels of the Senate saying it's no longer giving Senate staffers BlackBerry devices. Well, it is until they're out of stock, but I think, it seems like the writing's on the wall here, except for, then there's reports that BlackBerry's got 3 new Android phones coming out, and the Priv was a nice start. Maybe it didn't sell well. I think AT&T said it was below expectations and stuff, but if they make good phones, maybe they'll have enough to keep it going.
Who knows?
It's hard to say they're gonna die off or sell because that's been the story for as long as I've been reporting them.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
The last 5 years.
There's been a BlackBerry death watch for years.
Yeah.
Well, folks, that is going to bring this week's episode to an end. As always, we do appreciate you joining us. You can find the TechnoBuffalo Show over on the iTunes Store by searching for TechnoBuffalo Show. We do appreciate if you rate and review us. That does help out the show. You can also find us on the Google Play Store. You can find us on Pocket Cast. You can subscribe via RSS feed, or you can find us in the Stitcher app, which means you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Pretty much anywhere there are podcasts, you can find the TechnoBuffalo Show. Until next time, I'm Sean Ani. I'm the Director of Operations for the company, and I've been joined by Executive Editor Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
Until next week, take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.